Hello everybody. If you're struggling in the early game on Monsoon, then this video is for you. I usually take footage off of my live stream over at twitch.tv/Woolie Gaming, by the way. But I figured here doing a live recording and telling you exactly what I'm doing in real time would be way more beneficial. So without further ado, let's just get into it. I'll try my best not to over explain things. I'll just talk about the things that matter. And aside from that one jump cut that you just saw because I stumbled on my words for a second, this will be completely uncut gameplay. So first things first, we're on Distant Roost here. I see that we have a goat hoof printer. I'm probably not going to utilize that. The blood shrine is actually insane to get, so let's go up here real quick. And I have two chests right next to the teleporter. That's actually a very interesting spawn. And I get a mount. This is the creme de la creme. This is the perfect example of the early game here. Holy moly. We'll get this barrel first. As soon as you spawn in, if you find barrels on the ground, blood shrines, or mountain shrines, you immediately pop those. Reason being, a lot of people are saying, well, why would you not, or sorry, why would you go for a mountain shrine on stage 1? Don't you have a high likelihood of dying? Well, yeah, but it's stage 1. So if you die, guess what? You just start over. You wasted, what, 5 minutes of your life? Who cares? Teleporter's over there. I was going to check up here. So interesting note on any map. So the terrain that dictates where a new section is. So in case it's this bridge right here, if this bridge were not here, that means no items at all would spawn across on the island. The exception are newt altars. Newt altars for some reason bypass that restriction. I don't know why, but they do. I'm actually not going to print that. I would have if I got a crappy white item, but I have a teddy bear and an armor piercing, which are actually perfect for the early game. So I'm just going to kite these things over here. I'll pick up that equipment barrel, and then we will get out of here. So in the early game, you really don't have a lot of threats that will spawn, aside from if you pop like 1 or 2 combat shrines, and obviously a mountain shrine for the teleporter boss. But other than that, you're not going to get a lot of high threat targets. You pretty much just kill whatever spawns. Whenever they spawn, kill them for the money, buy chests, go to the teleporter. That's the general strat here. I got a pretty bad equipment, so let's try again. Got a pretty bad equipment, and there's not another barrel, but that's okay. So I'm almost level 3 here. Let's just spawn the teleporter. I never really think about min-maxing when I spawn the teleporter, as long as you're not doing it literally at level 1. Sometimes context dictates that. Sometimes you have to do a level 1 teleporter. But as long as you're like not literally level 1, you can spawn a teleporter even if you have no items, because the boss is going to be pretty easy. Even here, you see I'm face tanking this guy. I'm not really worried about getting hit. It's not a big deal. I have plenty of cover to use here for the Vagrant, but one important tip is that the teleporter prongs here are actually thick enough to block the Vagrant's explosion. Now, I'm pretty sure the big old tree right there actually blocked it for me. But if you're in a pickle, know that the teleporter prongs actually are thick enough to block the entire explosion, because all you need to do is break line of sight. I should be able to kill him before he explodes again. Never mind. Ooh! That was too close. I was about to say chat, that was too close. I'm too used to streaming. But I didn't. I caught myself. So even though I had about 20 HP there and now I'm slowly recovering, it's not really that big of a deal. Again, there are not a ton of threats in the early game. So as long as I take out these golems here, I don't get hit by the Vagrant, I should be fine. And that was exactly what I should not have done, is face tank that ball. But now the rest of my enemies are beetles and Lemurians, which are pretty easy to dodge. I'm going to take out this Wisp because he could kill me. Other than that, this looks like a pretty easy boss fight. I'm at 7 HP, not really that big of a deal again. As long as I don't let another barrage from this guy hit me, I should be fine. I'm going to blow up this ball as soon as it spawns so it doesn't damage me. He's going to use his attack. So let's just do like that. This is actually a perfect example of playing aggressively and taking risks. Now, I'm taking a little bit of unnecessary risks here. As you can see, I'm at 9 HP, 13 HP. But as long as you know which targets to kill, which are the high threat targets, you should be fine. Roll out a lay of that. All right, perfect. What do we get? Double guillotine. Now, I am ending this run after the first loop, so the guillotines aren't going to be too useful. But in every other situation, when you're playing a normal run, 2 guillotines would have been pretty good. I know I said I wouldn't over-explain stuff, and here I am rambling about random stuff. My apologies. I try to focus in here. So that was a pretty smooth first stage, even though I was down to like 9 HP the whole time. That's perfectly fine. So, interesting thing about Brass Contraptions. Watch, he's going to channel his attack right, left, center. Or right, center, left. Yeah, he goes from right to left. Well, I'm going to stun him when he puts on the attack. He's still going to fire it. So Brass Contraptions are really weird that their attack animation starts when you see those balls appear on them. It does not start when they start throwing the attack, as you might assume. No, whenever you see the balls appear, they have already begun their attack. So if you freeze them or you stun them, they will still fire the attack. So you have to keep that in mind, especially as a newer player. If you think you're safe by CCing them, you're not. If you see the balls, they're going to throw them, period. So keep that in mind. We're on not distant roost. We're on wetland aspect here. This stage is pretty good. Here's another thing I was talking about with the terrain. If this geyser is not here, which it definitely cannot be, then no chests or barrels or equipment stuff or anything will spawn up here. But because it's here, I could get some chests, so let's check very quickly. Also, again, the newt altars are exempt. So there's a newt altar that can spawn here. It's not here. But even if that geyser was not there, the newt altar still could have spawned there. That's just a little tip. All right, distant roost, or sorry, I keep saying that. Wetland aspect is notoriously hard to find the teleporter on. So also by going up here, I get a pretty good overview, and there it is, right in the center. Perfect. So I'm going to farm for this multi-shop and chest. Actually, I think I already have enough because I popped that blood shrine. Perfect. Wait, did I even pop the blood shrine? No, I didn't. I pinged it. I pinged it and I didn't pop it. Whoops. I meant to pop that blood shrine. That's okay. We'll be all right. Topaz Brooch, Sticky Bomb. I'm actually going to take the Sticky Bomb here just because why not? Give me a little bit of damage. And I totally forgot about that chest that was on the cliff, but that's okay because we have a green multi-shop. That is perfect. So that just goes to show, as I said at the beginning, how context changes everything. Originally, I was going to go for that small chest that's sitting like right on that cliff. But now that I saw a green multi-shop out of the corner of my eye, I'm going to go for that. And I thought I was saving up for a chest, so I was staying in this area, wasting time. That is all right. After I buy the multi-shop, I'm just going to go straight for the teleporter, and then if I want to buy a couple more chests after that, I will. But it's always better to just go to the teleporter sooner than later. Like right there, watch. I stunned him, he's still going to throw his attack. That's just how it works. It's always better to go faster than not. So if you are on the fence, even in the slightest, about farming for something, just go to the teleporter and get it afterwards if you really want it. I'm going to go for random here. Okay, all right, you know what? It's fine, it's fine. Lepton Daisy might save me. Hey, I was down to 9 HP with the first teleporter. So maybe it'll save me this time. Actually, before I do the teleporter, I saw a pair of crits. So let's go for that crit first. Right here. The juicy critical strike chance. So one thing to take into context with the early game items, damage is generally more important than everything else. If you can obliterate everything in sight before they even attack you, you don't need healing and you don't need defense. So damage is more often than not going to be your top priority. Another thing that you'll see me do here is play very close to enemies. Now, that's for twofold. Number one, I'm playing Commando, who has very high damage fall off, meaning if I'm not point blank on a target, I'm probably not doing full damage. It's not that bad, but it's pretty bad. Like, as soon as these drones go away, I'll show you exactly what the range is. But that's one part. I do more damage close range. Number two is that it's actually way easier to dodge enemy abilities if you're right next to them, or if you're in very close proximity. Like if you keep, like on this gauntlet, it's a perfect example. If I go right next to him and I just run in a circle, he's not going to hit me with that laser. And he's pretty slow with the clap too. So as long as I'm just sprinting around in a circle here, he's not going to hit me with anything. And I can roll if I have to, right? Whereas if I keep my distance, I keep that laser trained on me pretty much all the time. And if I mess up for even a second, I'm going to get hit by that laser. So that's an example of why I like to stay very close to enemies. And that's a big mistake I see a lot of people do. They play very far back and very passively. I would say the complete opposite. Go super aggressive and go super close range on pretty much every character. It doesn't matter who you're playing. Obviously, someone like Mercenary or Loader, you're already going to be doing that. But even on these range survivors like Commando, Huntress, Artificer, etc., you want to be close range. It puts the combat flow into your control. All right, sorry about that. You probably just saw a cut there. I had to go blow my nose because my nose hairs were itching me like crazy. So here I have 300 gold. I might as well buy the drone because it is literally right next to the teleporter. Other than that, I'm just going to leave. And that brings up another good point. I'm talking to myself here. That brings up another point that I want to cover is the drones. A lot of people ask me, when should I buy drones? Are they even worth it in general? And usually my answer is never, because they're not worth it. But in cases like that, I was right next to the teleporter. Literally, I was going to leave anyway. So if I see a drone on the ground, why not buy it real quick? Other than that, I highly recommend that you avoid the drones. Simply because they don't give you a permanent boost to your run. Because they will die. They eventually will die. And in the early game, you would much rather have a guaranteed item rather than a drone that will eventually die. But they are pretty useful. They do draw aggro off of you. They take shots, so they can be useful. But in more cases than not, I would rather have an item. So here is the Prion Accumulator. I'm here at 933, which is perfect time to get it. For anyone that's struggling finding this thing, the red beacons here will always be lit exactly where the Prayon is located. There are 3 possible spawns. One, obviously right here where I just got it. The second one is right here in that barrel, or that crate. The beacons will be right there and right there respectively. And then the last spawn is right below me. Holy, did we get a wisp event? Was I not paying attention? Did we get a wisp? I can't scroll up to see. I think we have a wisp event here because there are way too many wisps. The other one will be right here. Sometimes this crate is not here and the chest is just sitting here in the snow. But those are the 3 spawns for the Prayon, and regardless, wherever the beacons are lit is where the Prayon will be. So if you're struggling to find it, that is exactly how you find it every single time. Just look for the beacons. We definitely have a wisp event. There's no way. There's actually no way there's this many wisps. Luckily, they won't be that much of a threat because we're on stage 3. So a wisp event on stage 5 or something like that, that would be terrible. The teleporter fight could be pretty bad now that I think about it. Interesting thing about the teleporter is that the director, which in this game, the director is the system that dictates where the items are spawned, which enemies are going to spawn on the stage, where they're going to spawn, etc. The teleporter has its own director, and that director has more credits to spawn things. Think of everything as a cost. That barrel has a cost for the director to spawn. This chest has a cost for the director to spawn, etc. The teleporter director has more credits than the general like stage director does. What I'm trying to say is the teleporter fight is going to be harder every single time than what your enemies are in the current stage. Meaning I have a lot of lesser wisps right now. But when I fight the teleporter boss, I'll have even more. So it's going to be kind of dangerous. And syringe is actually perfect to get. I'm going to get the large chest that I saw right off of spawn. And I see the teleporter in that cave over there. I meant to ping like that. So let's get for this large chest. Hopefully I get a ukulele. That would be insane. Or a meat hook, I guess. But the chances of meat hook happening are very low. Alright, 154 is definitely enough. So let me go over there. Actually, no, it's not. I need 160, which I just got. I'm already forgetting where the large chest is. That's generally my problem in a lot of runs. I just forget where spawns are. Here we go. 179. Perfect. And we got... Alright. Well, I tried. So that just proves the point of farming versus rushing. I would rush every single time because you just never know what you're going to get from a chest. Now, is me farming for 30 seconds going to ruin this run? No, not at all. But that just proves the point. I could get all chrono baubles and med kits and monster toots, or I could get all ukuleles, ATGs, fire bands, etc. You just never know. And I highly recommend not farming until you get to stage 4. That is by far the best stage to farm on. Okay, so we have the teleporter fight here, but I have the Prayon accumulator, so I don't care what we get. Honestly, I don't care what we get because I'm just going to Prayon and kill everything. And we have Grove Tender, which is a pretty easy fight. Shoot that out. He should be... Never mind. I did like no damage. This might be a little tougher than I thought. But I am doing quite a bit of damage here. If you don't have a lot of AoE when you're fighting a Grove Tender, you should prioritize the little pink wisps that he throws out because they deal a ton of damage. They're like heat-seeking missiles. They'll deal so much damage. So if you're playing a Survivor with not a lot of AoE built in, I highly recommend you go for the pink wisps that he fires out rather than the boss itself. And I'll take a backup mag here. Backup mag is a very good item to get on commando because your phase blast is what pumps out most of your damage, especially when fighting a single target. And just like that, the teleporter fight is essentially done. The Prayon accumulator solves everything. If you're not going fast enough in your runs to get a guaranteed Prayon every time, well, assuming you get here on Rally Point Delta and not Scorched Acres, if you're not going fast enough to reach that 10-minute mark, I highly recommend that you start working on it as soon as possible. Because if I didn't have the Prayon there, I could have easily got overwhelmed. Because not only did the Grove Tender spawn with a Wisp event, but I also had like 3 blazing lesser Wisps on top of that. So if I did not have the Prayon, I had no AoE and I probably would have died. So highly recommend that you work for the Prayon accumulator. Highly recommend. Now it's just going to be me taking out a few more lesser wisps here. Teleporter's done. Let's get out of here because I didn't see any other items. So we're leaving stage 3 at about 14 minutes. That's an okay pace. Actually, that's pretty good. As long as you're getting to stage 4 by about 15 minutes, you can't go wrong. And 14 minutes is about 15 minutes. So not too terrible. All right, this is the stage you want to farm on, and this is exactly why. Adaptive chest, green multi-shop, green multi-shop already. I see 3 items that I really want to go for. Stage 4 will always have green multi-shops. If there is a multi-shop spawn, it will always be of the green rarity, which means you can get an ATG, a ukulele, will-o-the-wisp, etc. All the strong items. So if you're going to farm on a stage, I highly recommend that it is this one. Not specifically Abyssal Depths, but stage 4. Okay, I'm going to go walk over this Titan because he just wants to stay over there for some reason. He's going to laser me well before I get in range, but I think that little, this little rock right here should block me from him. He might not even laser, actually. Is he gonna laser? Yeah, there it is. Yeah, this rock will definitely block it. I'll be okay. I'll be okay. I think, oh my gosh, that was close. I'm not gonna use the prey on here, even though I could use it to guarantee the kill right away. Stone Titans are very easy to kill, so I'm not gonna waste the prey on. I could need it for a pack of Eldritch Lemurians that spawns or something, or the actual teleporter boss itself. But speaking of farming, let's talk about the legendary chests here on stage 4, or the Aloe worship unit on Siren's Call. They're essentially the same thing. I get a ton of questions still. When should I farm for the legendary chest? Or are you, when I'm streaming, are you going to farm for legendary chests on this stage? More often than not, I will. As long as your run is pretty good, like you have a pretty good amount of items, you're scaling okay in terms of the time versus the amount of enemies that are spawning, then you probably should go for the legendary chest. But if you're struggling in the damage department especially, defense, healing, mobility are separate, but if you're struggling in the damage department, absolutely do not farm for the legendary chest. You need to buy everything but the legendary chest, because the amount of power that you're pulling from these regular chests, the green multi-shops, etc., is going to be significantly more than that of the red chest. Unless you get a Clover or a Behemoth or even like a Meat Hook, I guess. Unless you get one of those 3, you're really not going to cascade your run like you would from getting 3 ATGs or 3 Will-o-the-Wisps or a ukulele, a fire band, and an ATG. So if you're struggling in damage, I highly recommend avoiding the legendary chest. You can go back for it after the teleporter fight. That's perfectly fine. But if you don't get damage items before the teleporter, as in if you waste all your time and money and farm up for legendary and pull a bad item on top of that, you're pretty much done. You just screwed yourself. So let's focus here. Hold on. Could have gone for that. There's Eldritch Lemurian. This is actually really bad to go for, and I can't get that now. No. I want... Oh, that was the ATG. You little punk. Am I dead here? No, I'm fine. I'm fine. Well, that goes to show... I got a syringe, actually. It's not terrible. But that just goes to show that when you're farming for the adaptive chest, or rather when you activate the adaptive chest, make sure there's no threats around you. Make sure that you can give your undivided attention to the adaptive chest. That was my mistake there. Unfortunately, we missed an ATG, but it's not that big of a deal. I still have a syringe, so could have been worse. Plus, this little healing drone here is actually putting in his value. So here I am smack-talking drones, and this healing drone saved me. Who would have guessed? All right, I'm going for this multi-shop here. And then after that, I will probably go for the teleporter. And then after the teleporter, go for the legendary chest. That's generally what I do. Even if I am going to get the legendary chest, I rarely go for it before the teleporter. I'll explain why I picked that in a second. I usually go for it after, just because of how expensive it is. Even if I am doing pretty well, the amount of gold that you're getting just because of how few monsters are spawning is pretty low. So if you do the teleporter first and then go back for the chest, you're saving time. Because otherwise you're just waiting and waiting and waiting for monsters to spawn. All right, we're at 900. I have more than enough money for the rest of the items that I want, aside from legendary chest. So instead of me talking about going to the teleporter, let's actually go to the teleporter. What is that? That's a printer of some kind. I can't see what that is. It's a war banner printer. No, I think I'll pass on that one. Thank you, though. Another multi. Look at that. Perfect. That's actually like the penultimate multi-shop right here. ATG, ukulele, and Will-o-the-Wisp. Now, I would have taken the ATG. Actually, that's not true. In a regular run, I would have taken the ukulele there, too. Wow, these items are nuts. What the heck? But because I'm stopping this run after the first stage, the ATG probably would have been a better choice. But I chose that ukulele as if I'm doing a regular run here, even though I'm ending it after this loop here. So going back to the multi-shop that I picked before, there was an ice band, something else, and a random item. I picked the random item because I could have gone for the ice band and got a little bit of guaranteed damage. But if I had gotten an ATG or a ukulele or a will-o-wisp, etc., that would have been better than the ice band. So I took a little bit of a risk, no pun intended. There's a large chest over here too. And already you can probably see a stark contrast. I am taking way more time on this stage than the other stages. I'm farming for pretty much everything that I want, and that is exactly what you should be doing. Stage 4 is your time to farm in any loop. Well, not any loop. That's not true, because if you're past the first loop, you can pretty much spend however much time you want on any stage farming for items. I'm getting a ton of greens right now. Also, I haven't seen the teleporter yet, which means the caves are open and it's there, or it's up top here and I totally just missed the... Can you see them? I don't think they're there. Look at the cave door. Is the cave door open? Yes, it is. All right, so teleporter is almost guaranteed to be in here because I've scouted the whole stage except for here. That's also another thing that I get questions on a lot. How do you find the teleporter? The first thing is obviously look for the little red particles, the floaty particles that are around. On a stage like this, though, it's kind of difficult because the entire stage is orange/red. So the second thing is with experience, I said is twice there. With the experience, more experience you get, the easier it will be to know where the potential spawns are. And when you initially arrive on a stage, you just check the first couple spawns that are closest to you. If it's not there, then you can safely assume that it's on the other side of the map, and there's only like 2 or 3 spawns on whatever side you're going to. So it narrows the possibilities down drastically, and that comes with experience. That's what I'm trying to say. So if you're struggling finding the teleporter, don't worry, it'll come with time and experience. But also the red particles. If you're not familiar, or if you didn't even know about finding the red particles, then that is definitely a thing you should be doing. Here's the teleporter. Jeez, I was like, where is it? I thought I had passed it in the cave somehow, but no. I'm actually going to take a Hopu Feather here. Hopu Feather is an amazing mobility item on survivors like Commando and Multi because they're not sprinting a vast majority of the time that you're in combat with targets. Because if I... Oh! Okay, this is a really bad fight. Let me get out of here. Let me get out of here. I think I'm dead from standing... Oh. We are very close to dying. I'm good. I'm good. I'm not good. I'm not good. All right. Well, this is a perfect learning example. If you're shooting a Prayon accumulator, make sure you don't miss. No way, dude. Hi, everybody. It's future me. I figured I would go over this death here real quick because sometimes learning from your mistakes is way better than not making mistakes at all. So I want to talk about exactly what went wrong here, why I died. Obviously, I missed the Prayon shot. That's number 1. But let's just see. So as soon as I see the Elder Lemurian spawn, the overloading Elder Lemurian spawn, I should have immediately went for that geyser. I'm pointing. You can't see where I'm pointing. See if I can try and point. That geyser right there. I should have went to the geyser, gotten out of here ASAP. Now, I try to do that, as you watch right here. I try to go there, but I see that they're using their fire breath and their fireballs. So you see I'm a little bit apprehensive there for a second. If we go back. I should have just gone for it right away, right there. I should have continued right there. Go to the geyser and get up on the high ground ASAP. But what I did instead is I knew that they would use their fire breath pretty much instantaneously, or their spitball attack, either one, and I knew it'd be super dangerous going into that. So I hesitated for even 1 second. I hesitated for that 1 second, and guess what? I go in there and I face tank the blast anyway. And on top of that, I get the overloading spawns. So immediately that brings me down to 100 HP. So step 1 was to go right to that geyser as soon as possible, get on the high ground, get out of there, because close quarters combat with overloading Elder Lemurians not going to end very well. The second issue here is that I kind of missed the Prayon shot just a little bit. It kind of goes this way instead of this way. Now, one thing that I definitely should have done here is save the Prayon. I should have just kept running. As soon as I got on here, I kind of panicked because I was really low HP. I should have kept going. You see my trajectory is right here. I should have kept going, left the zone entirely. If I would have backed up there, I would have lined up all of the Lemurians, and the Prayon shot would have hit all of them and killed them pretty much instantaneously. But I didn't do that, and that wasn't the only thing I could have done. The second thing I could have done here was, instead of shooting the Prayon and trying to direct impact something, which I chose out of all the Lemurians, this guy's already coming up, so he's going to land over here. Out of both of those Lemurians, there's only 2 overloading. I chose to go for the one that is not up on the geyser yet. So what do you think he's going to do? He's going to take the geyser, and he's going to make me miss the shot. Like, why would I choose that? That was such a dumb choice. So I should have shot the Prayon right here, exactly where I'm looking currently. I think I tried to do that, which is why I'm looking here. I tried to flick it to the ground here because that's just instinct for me. If I think I'm going to miss, I'm going to shoot it right at the ground and hope I hit something, because the explosion radius of the shot is actually that big. In fact, if you're fighting a magma worm, it's so big that if they are under the ground, you know, when they're doing, they have the flying phase with the magma worm, then they have the tunneling phase. If they are underneath the ground completely, the Prayon shot will still hit them and damage them. That's how big the radius is. So my point is, if I shot it at the ground here, I would have hit all of them guaranteed, and they would have died right there. All of them would have died. So mistake number 2 is getting the Prayon shot and missing it. And then the third mistake is right here. Right there, you saw it actually. The brass contraption spawn. As soon as I didn't really see it. In hindsight, obviously I see it now. And when I was playing, I did not see it. So you see me flick, boom, right there. You saw the brass contraption. That is what ends up killing me here, because I stand here, never, ever, ever stand still. Now, again, I was not aware of the brass contraption. I should have known that there might be something behind me, but I took a risk here, and I assumed and I lost. But if you stand still for even a split second, you were just asking to die. And you saw I was just standing there right next to the wall. One more time here. It pretty much instantaneously. I stood still for maybe 0.3 of a second, maybe half a second, something like that. So I jumped. I was still moving vertically, but horizontally, I wasn't changing it. Brass contraptions don't care. The hitbox of their spiky ball is pretty big vertically. So jumping over the ball is not really going to happen. You want to go side to side. And there I was just going up and down. I was not moving side to side. Therefore, brass contraption hit me and I died. So hopefully that is a bit of a learning process for you guys. That's exactly why I died. Don't make those same mistakes. Don't miss your Prayon shot. It kind of helps. Hopefully you guys got some concrete info out of this video and it wasn't just a stream of consciousness the whole time. I tried my best to hone in and talk about specific things as they were going on. I'm sure there's things I could have improved on, but I think more or less that run was a pretty good example of a lot of things that you should work on in the early game. Not you specifically. I'm just saying things that need to be worked on for the early game. If you're struggling, this run represents them quite well. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are, because this video is a little different than usual. Other than that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.